Alright guys, for today's project, we're going to be working on a kind of a piecewise function project. So the way that we can start this thing up is, I want to find just a picture of a house. It can be really any picture. It has to have a couple straight lines in it, preferably. Could be a picture of your house, and you guys could upload whatever, but find a picture with a handful of straight lines on it. So personally, I like this one. So I have one straight line here, straight line there, straight line across the bottom here. Right click, save image as, save it to wherever I need to. On Google Chrome, it pops up in this bottom bar right here, which is even more helpful. Then I can hop over to desmos.com and I can click and drop my photo right into this drop image here section. The other way you can do it is by opening up the folder of wherever your photo is saved to, and also drag it and drop it right in where we into the side column. My goal for this project is to create a piecewise function that just outlines some part of my photo. In my example, I'm going to outline just the border where the roof meets the sky. This dark green line right here. So the project, I want to at least have 3 different lines, and I can show you how to make each of those lines. So this first piece right here, this little segment of dark green there, I can type my function y equals x is going to be that line over there. I think it's got to be a little bit steeper. And this part is just about trial and error. Try and throw in some numbers, see what happens. Use what you guys know from creating functions of lines to try and get the best fitting line here. I'd say this line is just about as steep as this line is here. Now, I need to move it over, or I need to actually move it up to get my y-intercept to change. So let's say, I don't know, I'm just going to take a guess and say, I don't know, somewhere around +5 maybe? Alright, it's getting closer. I need to move it a little bit higher. What if I made it +6 instead? It's a little too high. 5.8, I guess, roughly. Perfect. My new green line, my function, lines up perfectly with the edge of this house. Now, I only want to take a small window of those values. So, curly bracket, which is located right next to the enter sign. I only want the x values from just about -4 to about -2.8-ish. So I want to take the values from between -4. I want my x value to be in between those and -2.8, maybe 2.9. And I can write that in with this inequality. I want my x values to be in between -4 and -2.9. And this whole project is all about trial and error, putting in numbers, seeing how they're going to adjust your line. And once you get a line that matches up where your line is, so my green line matched up where the edge of this house was, then I needed to adjust my window, make it smaller. Now, the next section of green line, I want from right here down this line to right there. Well, let's again start with just y equals x. All right, well, I know number 1, this line is going down and my line's going up. So I need to make that a negative. It's definitely too steep right now, so I need to flatten it out a bit. So I want to take my slope is going to be fairly shallow. My slope is going to be fairly close to 0. Let's try 0.5. That's still too steep. 0.2. A little better. Point 1 works pretty well. This slope matches this slope very well. But now I need to move it up a little bit. What's that? Maybe up 1 unit? I'd say that's pretty close. And again, this isn't going to be perfect. It's just a rough drawing what my line should look like. All right, now let's bring down what my inputs could possibly be. What makes this my piecewise function? Well, I know my last line ended when x was negative 2.9, so I can start right there. All my numbers should be between negative 2.9 and where's the other end of my graph going to be? Right about here, which is 0.25 maybe? Not bad. That's pretty close. It's pretty good rough estimate of my purple line that's right here. It's a pretty good estimate of where the edge of this house is. Maybe I can adjust a little more. A little bit more adjusting. Even better. Again, this is just fine-tuning my numbers, being kind of picky about them. All right, the last section of house, this green part right there. Well, let's start with, once again, y equals x. I'm trying to adjust where my line is going to be. Number 1, it's going the wrong direction. So, I know it's going to be negative. My slope is going downward here. Well, my slope is pretty shallow. So, I might take the same slope as my previous line, see what that'll give me. I said this is just about as steep as this line is here. I need to move it up a little bit to just about 0.5. Maybe a little higher, 0.55. All right. And again, I could be as picky as I want about how accurately I want it to match my graph by changing the slopes, by changing my intercept. If you guys can think of any other functions, whether they be quadratic or cubic or using any of those other math symbols that you guys have learned, the radical symbol, any powers you want to throw in, definitely give them a shot. All right, last but not least, I need to, the whole reason it's a piecewise function, because I'm splitting up what my input, which equation each of my inputs are going to have. Well, the last one ended at 0.25 at a quarter. So let's start there. Oops. And my end should be, where is that going to be? 2.75 roughly? Maybe a little further. That's pretty accurate, right about there. Awesome. So, and what I'm going to do to finish this up is I can take a quick screenshot of it. Actually, better than a screenshot. If I go up into the corner, there's a button that says Share Graph. I can click it. I can export my image. And I want to make my lines as thick as possible so they're really easy to see. And I can download this as a picture and upload it right to the assignment page. And then don't forget, there will be a spot for your equations as well.